Good morning, everybody, and welcome to 2025 What's New in Vault. Thank you for joining. Today we have Irvin Hayes from Autodesk, and he is going to be going over what's new in 2025. We also have Jose, who works here at KETIV, and I am Phil Steiger. I oversee the data management and automation teams here at KETIV. Irvin, the floor is
Hey,
yours, sir.
all right. Thank you very much, Phil, and everyone else at KETIV, and welcome everyone to the Virtual Academy here. It's always a pleasure to work with KETIV and be able to do some of these virtual academies with them. Again, always a pleasure. So for those of you who don't know me, my name is Irvin Hayes Jr. I am a senior product manager here at Autodesk. I've been here for, it'll be 19 years in May, or excuse me, in August. And I've always worked on the Vault product line. So I have a vast experience and knowledge in the Vault for many, many years. So our agenda here is we'll just talk quickly what's now, what's Vault all about, a few slides on that and how it helps you collaborate. We'll jump right into the Vault's 2025, what's new, and then we will sum it up and wrap it up and talk about a few things of how you can engage with not only KETIV, but also Autodesk and various different platforms. And then we'll open it up for a Q&A at the end. So let's jump right into it and talk about what's now. So Autodesk has been around for an extremely long time, well before I started working here. And basically, as a quick overview, Autodesk Vault is a PDM system for modern product development, including your Inventor, your AutoCAD designs, including also non-CAD designs when it comes to documentation, Word documents, PDFs, and so on and so forth. One of its main goals is to unify teams and boost productivity. So you do this by reusing designs so that you don't waste your time recreating designs that are already there. It improves internal and external collaborations by multiple features that are included in the product as well. And then again, increase product development agility, faster and easier response times and more automations that are possible with some customizations and a lot of the built-in features as well. So overview quickly, what you can do with Vault: automate design and engineering processes, drive modern standardizations, create engineering bombs, quickly find and reuse data, control what people can access and edit. You can track your changes, revisions, and design history, as well as, again, like I said, connect with your internal and external collaborators. Now, before we jump right into Vault 2025 and what's new there, I want to make sure that people understand that every year we do a bunch of enhancements, and 2024 came with a bunch of enhancements. And also you can see the Vault 2024, what's new in the KETIV Virtual Academy that was done last year by Phil and some of his associates. So I'm going to cover some things that's what's new in 2025, but I'm going to go back and look at a few things that were covered in our 2024 dot updates, because some of you will hop every other release. So you may not know exactly what 2024 delivers and what was done in those updates. And then we'll talk about in conjunction with those, what's in 2025. So let's jump into the bigger things here. So when we design new features or enhance existing features, we look at three different areas where we need to solve our customer problems. These areas include what we call authors, administrators, and participants. And I want to give you a brief overview of how we look at each of these particular personas. Our authors are basically those users who are designing inside of Inventor, AutoCAD, or other CAD products. An author is also a non-CAD or non-engineer. Again, I talked about people who create documentation files, whether it be Word, Excel, Acrobat, Adobe PDFs, or any other non-CAD format, because of course, Vault can handle any file extension or file type. And they also participate in all of these different lifecycle management workflows, as well as change orders, as well as also the BOM processes. So these are our authors. Our administrators, we know that actually they wear multiple hats. Administrators could be the enterprise people who are controlling or managing the back end of Vault. So they're doing the backups, they're doing the ERP integrations, they're maintaining the updates at the server as well as the client levels. So those are some of those administrators. Others administrators include those who onboard new employees, where to be training, they may be setting the software up, they may be setting up the templates in the products and the libraries. They're probably also designing the workflows within Vault at the administrative or even at the project level. And then we have our participants. These are these downstream consumers of all of these things that the authors create. So they're really read-only users. They're mostly our thin client users that get into the system using the thin client or our mobile app in a read-only mode as well. But they still collaborate with the author in various different ways. And they also consume, again, the manufacturing designs as well as all these other non-CAD designs. These could also be people outside of the engineering department. Maybe you have sales, purchasing, we can go on and on. But these are the people that we consider our participants. So let's move into what we've done for our authors over time. So this is a feature in 2024.2 update, which is the PDF property management. For a long time, we have had the ability to handle PDFs, but you've required a third-party iFilter to do some content search indexing and as well as getting the thumbnails showing up. So in 2024.2 update, what we did was we added our own content filtering for PDFs. So now this is out of the box content index filtering, as well as the ability to map Vault UDPs to the PDF properties. You can also then edit those PDF properties directly in Vault, as well as view the thumbnails. So these are now out-of-the-box features, and you can do these without adding the additional and hunting down the additional software to make these things available to you in previous releases. Now, copy design is one of the most powerful applications that we have, or features that we have in Vault Professional. For a long time, we've had two different versions. One was in Vault Basic and the other one was in Vault Professional. But now what we've done is we've taken that Vault Professional version and we put it down to Vault Basic, so our Vault Basic users can use that power behind copy design and the new features there behind it. Of course, there's some features that are disabled because they don't apply to Vault Basic, but the main features are there. So you can reset properties values on the copy. You can do find and replace name and the file names and its path text very easily. You can do this not only in the dialog, but you can also copy these columns out to Excel. Maybe you want to do some Excel column manipulations or value manipulations based off of formulas and then put them back in so you can paste them right back into the cells inside of copy design and get it done quite quickly. You can also define action rules. So maybe certain action rules can set or do some certain things to the properties as they're doing the copy design. So we provided this power now to our Vault Basic users in 2025. Next is what we call the criteria-based basic search. As you know, today or before 2025, what you do is in the Vault client, you go up into the little search dialog, you type in a particular text or whatever you were searching for. And what that does is that does a search throughout all of Vault, throughout all of the properties to see what it can return that matched the search criteria. The problem with that is that it didn't give the users the ability to filter anything. So what if I wanted to do a basic search, without opening up the advanced search dialog, but I wanted to narrow down my search, narrow down the information that's returned in that search results. So in this example, you see in the image, what if I just want to search IPT files and leave it there because that's my main file that I'm always searching for most likely as I'm using the client. So now I can actually do a safe search for IPT files. And then anytime that I go in and do a basic search, I can set that now as my criteria for that search all the time without opening up the find dialog or doing an advanced find. So you can do these all the time, very easy, very fast. And again, you can set up multiple criterias. So if you're switching between, maybe file extensions, as we were showing this as an example, you can just change that criteria on the fly and then do your search again. It's a great enhancement to our regular searching feature. In 2025, we finally added the ability to email people based off of state transitions. Now, as an administrator, you have a lot to do here. We did give you an out-of-the-box template that you can start with, but basically you can create multiple templates based off of your lifecycle transition states. So for example, what if you wanted a specific email going out to people who would approve a particular model or a file? And so you would take, a user would take a model or file and transition it from work in progress to in review. And then a template would be set up, and you can email that template to whoever users that the administrator wanted to, but it has a specific set of text that says, hey, these particular objects are ready for review. Then you can set up another template that says your review's passed, and or we've released a product or released a feature, released a file, set of files, and that has a different template. Also the ability here is to reuse templates based off of if you have multiple lifecycle definitions. Maybe the text of the template is the same, but different lifecycle transitions require a different set of criteria of what it needs to be sent out and things of that nature. So what's great about this, again, you have multiple templates that you can use for multiple different transitions. You can set up each transition to have its own unique set of users that could be emailed for that particular transition. And it gives you a lot of flexibility of making sure that your users are notified at the appropriate time when some work is ready for them to take action on based on the transition of your set of files. Now for administrators, again, I talked about administrators handling the back end. They're handling some other tasks inside and pushing standards down to your users. We've done a lot of enhancements over time, but I do want to highlight some of the bigger ones again that was done in 2024. We have a lot of customers that are in very large environments, and some of you may be starting out, maybe you've been here using Vault for 5 years or something like that. So your environments are starting to grow. Backup is now taking longer because you have more data that you have to now back up and take care of, but it's getting kind of a struggle. So what we did was we enhanced the backup and restore features so that we can handle these types of large environments a little bit easier for our administrators. We give you now the flexibility of backing up databases only. So maybe you have in-house another backup solution that already backs up your files. Your administrators who do this are very familiar with that backup solution. They use it all the time. They know how it works, how to set it up appropriately, how to recover from it appropriately. With this, or in this case, then back up your databases with the Vault backup capabilities, but then also use your in-house backup software to back up the file store. Again, we've always said, make sure that if you're doing that, make sure that the backups are really close to each other so that we know that you have a good data set between the databases and the file store. You can also selectively back up vaults and libraries. We have a lot of customers who create not only a production vault, but they also have these QA or test vaults. So maybe an administrator goes in there and they just want to mess around with some settings, don't want to mess up with production. So they have a test vault set up. Or maybe there's a training vault that's also set up, or a development vault that's set up for customization. Those are not critical vaults in your environment, so you don't need to back them up all the time. So in this case, you can now go in and say, all right, I only want to back up my production vault and its file store. I don't care about these other vault databases because they're really not important, and I can reset them or recreate them at a later time. So again, these gives you the flexibilities here for backup options, again, backing up the most important data. And then also as part of this, you can also postpone the file store validations during the restore. So if you're restoring a system, and maybe in this case, you've done a backup of the databases only, so you're restoring the databases only using an existing file store. If you are confident that there's nothing wrong with that file store, you can restore your databases, postpone the file store validation, and get your production back up and running faster. And then later on, you might want to run that file store validation via command line by itself off to the side. But this allows you to recover faster. It also allows you to migrate faster. as well. So if you're coming from a different version of Vault, let's say you are in 2023 and you're now starting to upgrade to 2025, you could still be in an environment where you can do a restore those databases only for 2023 and use an existing file store that was set aside for 2023 and then migrate to the version of 2025 faster. So if you don't know what the setup is or what it looks like, again, work with KETIV and they can help you set it up or make sure that you're in an environment where this will work for you if you're migrating from one release to the next. In 2024, we also introduced this Inventor design and template management system. So we know that it's hard to make sure that everyone's on the correct set of templates or the design files for Inventor. Now the administrator has better flexibility of managing these files directly in Vault, and then also making sure that they're automatically pushed down to the users when they start up Inventor and they log into that specific Vault. The system will automatically check to verify that the local files are up to date, and if there's files that are out of sync or out of date, it will pull down that file that's required to make sure everything is the latest version coming from Vault. Peer review is another one. Again, this is one that allows you to transition from one state to the next, but prevents that user who made that transition from moving forward until someone else has reviewed whatever the file is, or maybe it's reviewing the model, the IDW, so on and so forth. You can configure this for multiple rules. So maybe you want the rule to happen for IDWs, but not IPTs. Just again, giving you some examples, but it gives you a lot of flexibilities to enforce this peer review on certain states or certain models without interfering with the workflow for other file types. In the update, what we did was we now helped our administrators to deploy settings. Again, this is one of those things that administrators have been wanting for a very long time. Even for existing employees as well as new employees, setting them up in the system for the first time could be a lot of work prior to doing this. So now an administrator can go through, we can set the columns in the main file grid that they want. Maybe there are certain shortcuts that they want to have the users to have, or even save searches. Administrators or users with enough permissions can go through and set these things up, set them up as the distributed settings. And now your users, the next time they log into the Vault client, they will be able to get these settings and have the right information in front of them every time that they log into Vault, set by the administrator. And again, it gives you a sense of standardization across all of your users when the administrator can push these settings down to users and get them started right away, especially for onboarding new employees or new users. We talked about the backup and restore and how long it takes for these large environments. One thing that also complements that particular feature is the purge enhancements. A lot of time people were afraid of doing purges, and so they wouldn't do them very often. But then when they do a purge, it takes an extremely long time because there's a lot of data to purge. So what we've done here is we've given you more flexibility to run purge on a more regular basis. Part of this is configuring purge to execute on a lifecycle transition. So if you work on a model and all of its subcomponents, everything's in work in progress. Maybe you've gone from work in progress to in review. The reviewer has gone through the peer review and they've done the completion of the review, everything's approved, and they switch it to released. A purge can then happen based on that release process or that release transition, and all the files that were affected can now go through the purge process. What this allows you to do is keep your environment slim and trim, keeping the backup and restore process faster, getting rid of the unnecessary noise of maybe the tons of different versions that were done in the work in progress state. So that's what this allows you to do here. Now, if you don't want to do it on lifecycle transition, maybe you want to wait until an entire project or folder structure is is completed. So now you can actually right click on a folder and say purge, and it will purge all of the files in the folders as well as subfolders, again, based off of your lifecycle transition rules that you've configured, or possibly the files that are not controlled by lifecycles. And lastly, for our administrators in 2025, we've included the flexibility or the possibility of enforcing complex passwords on the Vault accounts. Now we have the ability to authenticate users using Windows authentication, so that complexity is based off of the Active Directory settings. You can use Autodesk IDs, so that would be based off of how someone's configured their Autodesk ID in those complexity settings. But there's time to time, some of our companies or users want to have these third parties get in, but the only way they can get in is using a Vault account. As an administrator trying to keep security as high as possible, now you can force the complexity on the Vault account with the minimum length, upper and lowercase letters, numbers, and the special characters. And last but not least, our participants. We always have to make sure that our participants are taken care of, because they're getting in here and they're consumers of all those downstream workflows, as well as the products or files that are produced by those authors. So what we're doing here with our thin client is enhancing its abilities and its flexibility in an intuitive interface. So now users can easily navigate between workspaces. So if you're going between design or, the file workspace or the item workspace, we fix some issues that we've had and users have asked for to make that transition easier, and maybe also keeping you only in the workspace that you need to be. We do have a lot of users who use the thin client, and really their main workspace is just the items area. Before, when you're looking at a file, you'd be switching from items back to files, and then files back to items. Well, we've gotten rid of that. Now you can stay within the item workspace, look at the files that you need to look at, but then go to your next set of items. We've also looked at how we could include consistent behavior between the thin client and the thick client. So where we could do that, we did do those. Of course, they're completely different interfaces, so we couldn't bring everything over. But we look at these enhancements and try and make sure that we make them as close as possible. And then for some of our thin client users, they're not doing markups, so that little markup toolbar at the bottom was always in the way. So now they have the ability to hide that, keep it out of the way, and not worry about it because they don't look at those types of things. And then in 2025, more administrative options were added. We've had some things that were done in the old thin client that we needed to bring forward because people have asked for them. One of them includes the ability to add your own custom logo. So that has been back in. We give you the parameters of what the custom logo can be, as well as the file types to use. So now you can change it from the Autodesk Vault to your company logo. You can set the workspace. Now, I was talking about this before. It's the default landing page. So if your users are only accessing the thin client via the item workspace, now you can set that as the default workspace as well. And then you can hide other workspaces. So in that same example, I never want them to see the change orders. There's no need for them to see that workspace, or there's no need for them to see the actual file level workspace. I can hide those two workspaces and keep them in the area that they need to be in. So, and we will continue doing all these things moving forward, but these are a lot of the things that we've done in between 2024, the 2024 updates, as well as Vault 2025. So with that, that is pretty much the end of the presentation, but I want to make sure that you understand that you can make your voice heard. We have several different communities that everyone can participate in. So the first one is our Vault Ideas. A lot of the things that you've seen that we've implemented comes from the Ideas board. If you have not seen it, go to the Ideas board. Make sure you look at some ideas that people have already put up there or posted, and vote on the ones that you like, as well as comment on them. Because maybe there's a little bit of information that might be missing, or maybe there's a little bit more you can add to that idea to make that idea even better. Post your own ideas. You all are in there all the time. Why not say, hey, if you were able to solve this problem for me, this would be fantastic. The key thing about posting ideas, we want to know the problem you're trying to solve. Please try and try your best not to tell me how to solve a problem, because I will come back and I will ask you, well, what's the problem you're trying to solve? Because I may have multiple ways of solving the problem to get you where you want to be as fast as possible. The Vault forums, it's an open forum. I'm in there all the time. A lot of my development team is in there all the time answering questions, as well as our Vault Elite experts are in there answering questions, as well as just everyone else in the community. This is a great way to collaborate with other people who are working with Vault, get some ideas if you're trying to figure out what's the best way of configuring Vault to work for a specific workflow that you need. And a lot of the people post there. So. And then our feedback community, this is a sort of a private community where we talk about the features that we're going to start working on. If you want to be able to drive those features and how we implement those features, this is the community that you need to be in. As an example, when we made a major change to the copy design feature itself, 98% of those features were driven by people who were in the feedback community. Of course, the other 2% were things that we know we needed and we added to it. But this is how you can help drive those features to solve problems and workflows for you so that we don't design it in the wrong way or we may miss major parts of it. And then last but not least, our customization community. So for those of you who are developers and create customizations on top of the Vault API, that's the area that you want to be, because a lot of the people who are doing that type of work is in that community and they can help you with our APIs and things of that nature. So with that, we can open the door for Q&A and see what else we can have there. I do see one, but I think Jose is typing in an answer, but I'll go ahead and answer it. Jeffrey says, have there been any enhancements to the replace command in Vault in version 24 and 25? No. So I'm assuming you want to replace like a subcomponent in a main assembly. We have not done any enhancements there. But if you have some ideas, post them on our ideas board. That would be the place to do so.
Yeah, I was gonna respond to it and kind of go along your lines of like, what problem are we trying to solve? Like, what issues are you seeing that you would want an enhancement on? So I was gonna try to get Jeffrey to elaborate a little bit there.
Yeah. You got time, Jeffrey, if you want to elaborate. If not, there's no other questions. So I've either scared everybody or I've clearly stated everything that we got.
I think you definitely covered a lot of it as you were talking, like specifically for the safe searches and being able to distribute those during training all the time. I'm like, hey, this is a super useful search that I recommend you guys make or save. And now with this enhancement, you know, as the administrator, you can just push that out. You don't have to worry about your user creating it all the time. You can kind of enforce that and make sure that they have it.
Exactly. And that's a really a good example of one of the ideas that a customer posted on our ideas board. We would have never thought of that as a necessary enhancement, but they posted it on the ideas board. We had a conversation with them and now it's implemented. So we do pay attention to those ideas. So even though some of them have been up there for a very long time, I know, but we try and get to them as quickly as possible. And of course, we just have to be a little pragmatic about which ones we can implement or not. I don't see any other questions. Oh, here we go. Jeffrey did do it. So he says the replace interface can benefit from being able to copy and paste from Excel and streamline for replacing many parts in one shot. It's a helpful way to fix duplicates, but it's not convenient to use. It's good for one part, not for 20. That's a good example. Jeffrey, thank you for posting that. I'd say, why don't you post in our ideas board, give us some examples of the challenges that you've had with the current replace. But you can put in that it could benefit from doing a lot of things inside of Excel and then pasting it back in. So please post that there, and we'll probably ask you more questions there as well. But thank you for that feedback.
Yeah, definitely. There's been a bunch of features like properties and such that benefit from that functionality that works like Excel. So it's just
exactly.
Yeah.
When we did copy design and when you're rename or you're copying an extremely large data set, we did implement the copy and paste from Excel inside of there. So now you can go through and you can rename a whole bunch of files at once, again, using Excel's power of formulas quickly, dragging and dropping the formula down to the other columns or rows below, and then copy and pasting it back in, which is a fantastic way of doing it. So we've done it before. We could do it again, no problem. Radu, hey Radu, any Vault commands to be added to Adobe, like the Vault ribbon as in Microsoft to check out and check in documents? We currently don't have anything in the Adobe product. If we did anything, we'd probably do it in the Acrobat Reader, maybe Acrobat Pro, but as of right now, we don't have that in our radar. I would also say, Radu, if it's not there, go ahead and put that on to the ideas board and talk about the workflow. Why is it needed in Adobe? What is it you use all the time? Because we are looking to do more enhancements with PDFs and the PDF workflows. So that might come as a good time to see what else could we do to enhance our PDF capabilities. So it's a good question.
I just want to say, Irvin, the whole backup solution that you guys changed for 2025 is probably the best thing that's happened in years. As far as for me, doing customer upgrades and stuff like that, and coming from a large environment myself, which was difficult to back up.
Yeah, yes. I mean, thank you for that. But so I really actually have an IT background, so I was kind of needing to do something there for my fellow IT folks. And our larger customers, as I stated before, and yeah, we had to find some better ways of doing that because people were just they were starting to stop using AWS Console to do the backup. So yeah, we had to look at better ways of supporting them.
And it gives a lot of those customers incentive to keep moving forward, right? If you're going
to
benefit, then let's get to that point. Make sure you're up to date, and it's a win-win all around for all three groups of users that you mentioned. They're all going to get the enhancements of the tool itself. Plus, on the back end, it makes our life a little bit easier and easier to handle.
Absolutely. Jeffrey posted another one, a question. Released items can be made to automatically generate 2D PDFs and step files. Is there a possibility of automatically generating a 3D PDF with the 2D PDF step file attachment when the items are released? Actually, item release processes do not create PDFs and step files. The file release process does. Not the item release process. We have not done anything with 3D PDFs. At this point, it is something in our backlog that we've constantly looked at, and we work with the Inventor team as well to look at those. So I won't say we won't ever do anything with it, but as of right now, we don't have any plans to do with creating 3D PDFs. All right. Well, I think then that's probably it. Again, my thanks to everyone at KETIV for inviting me here to you guys' KVA. I always love coming to these particular events. I also review some of your past events, which are fantastic. You guys do a very good job in your KVA videos and training people to use, various Autodesk products, which is fantastic. So good work to you all with keeping those academies going and keeping our users up to date on the latest features. So thank you very much, Phil and Jose and everyone else hosting the KVA and inviting me. And if you have any questions, of course, reach out to KETIV, and I'm sure that they will be able to answer any of the questions that you pose to them. They have a great set of employees that is very knowledgeable in Autodesk Vault. So, but if not, then of course they know how to get a hold of me or write a post in our forums. So we'll be happy to help out any way we can.
Irvin, thank you again for coming on and doing this today. It was fabulous. My
pleasure, Phil. Anytime.
Everybody, thank you. Have a great week.
Thanks,
Talk to you guys
everyone.
later.
Irvin.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.